Chair.
Senator Butler.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Director Wray, for returning. I associate myself with the comments of my colleagues in appreciating you for your service and those who serve under your leadership for doing the work to protect the country. I have a couple different topics I'd like to talk with you a little bit about. One is concerning what it is that your team might be learning and or seeing as trends now post the Dobbs decision. Where after 50 years of precedent set by Roe versus Wade, we got a Dobbs decision where the preliminary data has been showing that there's been an increase in attacks against medical clinics that provide abortion-related health care. In my own state of California, this dangerous behavior has reared its head as of late, where there are 3 men who were involved in conspiring to firebomb a reproductive health clinic. Talk to me a little bit, Director Wray, and sort of share with the American public what the FBI and your agencies have been doing post-Dobbs decision. What trends are you seeing relative to the threats facing reproductive health clinics?
Sure, happy to take that on. Some things you will probably expect, some things you might not expect. In the category of things that you might expect, certainly we continue to see violence against a variety of establishments motivated by views on abortion. And you've mentioned a few cases in your question. And we pursue those cases through, on the criminal side, through the FACE Act, and in some instances, if there's more of a terrorism angle, we might be pursuing explosive charges or what have you through our Joint Terrorism Task Force. That part you would probably expect, and that continues apace. What you might not expect, though, is that of the investigations that have been opened based on tips and leads and activity that we've seen since the leak of the Dobbs decision, is that actually we've seen a huge uptick in violence against pro-life facilities, not just abortion clinics and so forth. And we just recently had a case where we had an individual who had tried to firebomb a pro-life facility in Madison, Wisconsin. And our folks did some great work with DNA off of a burrito to be able to apprehend the suspect. And so we've seen violence on both sides of the issue. And the reason I bring that up is because it's important for Americans to understand that I don't care, we don't care what side of the abortion issue you're on. You don't get to engage in violence to express your views. That's where we get involved, and that's where the line gets crossed.
Are there, let me move to a different topic. There has been a lot of conversation, a lot of questions asked of you today that you've responded to relative to the increase in hate crimes directed towards the Jewish community, directed towards the Muslim community, and I too join my colleagues in the concern and appreciate the work of the FBI in those areas. And the last time you were before this committee, I asked you specifically about hate crimes directed towards the LGBT plus community. There's continued data that continues to illuminate the fact that there's increased hate crimes directed towards the AAPI community in the country, and it continues to be noted and documented the rise in hate crimes directed toward Black Americans in the country. Here's my question: what is the work the FBI is doing directed towards hate crimes generally? What are you doing? What can you do? And what can we do as a Congress, as a committee, to better equip you to help to increase both the reporting as well as the prevention of these crimes motivated by hate?
Well, I can speak more to what we can do and what we are doing, both on the investigative side. We're making a conscious point of trying to work with our law enforcement partners to find the cases, to pursue them, even if federal charges, because of the particularities of what the federal statute requires, even if federal charges are not easily prosecutable, if state charges are brought, then we we don't just check out. We, FBI, continue to help our state and local partners to ensure that there's accountability and justice brought through state charges. We have elevated civil rights crimes, including specifically hate crimes as the highest priority within those, to a national threat priority over the last couple of years, and that has increased the amount of resources we can devote to it. In addition, you mentioned reporting and prevention. One of the things we know about hate crimes really across the whole spectrum of victims is that they're underreported. And so one of the things that we're doing and other public figures could do is to try to reach out to individual communities to educate them about hate crimes and where they can go to report it. So if they're a witness, a victim, they know where to go and what to do about it. We also engage with local law enforcement because sometimes they don't necessarily recognize what to do with individual fact patterns that might become a hate crime. So those are some of the things that we're doing to try to increase the fidelity of the statistics on this, because that helps us identify trends and figure out how to allocate resources and investigative priority. So it's investigative, it's support, it's outreach, it's education, raising awareness.
The last question that I have, Director Wray, thank you for that. Since I've been a member of this body, this is the second time that I've got the opportunity to talk with you, and each time, each instance, you have raised your concern and heightened awareness about the potential threat of violence directed towards this country from other nation states. I want to talk a little bit about attacks on our electric grid. Particularly in the past few years, the U.S. has seen a record surge in the number of attacks on the electric grid and physical attacks, including 2 bombings in my state, in San Jose, California last winter, that left thousands of residents without power. I know you know the details, and so I'll skip the storytelling, but Director Wray, what updates can you share about the FBI's investigation into the recent string of physical attacks on our electric grid, and what steps have you taken to improve and coordinate the data collection relative to protecting our physical infrastructure?
Well, of course, you're asking about the physical attacks on the electric grid. Obviously, there are also a whole range of cyber attacks on the electric grid as well, but just focusing on the physical attacks, we have seen an increasing number of attacks on substations and things like that for a variety of motivations. So, for example, in Baltimore, we had a fairly well-known case not that long ago of a couple of individuals who were attempting to cause chaos. These were racially motivated violent extremists who wanted to essentially cause this cascading power failure, attacking 5 substations in the Baltimore area, and thankfully we were able to disrupt that attack. But we've also seen people attacking substations for non-ideological reasons, including, I think out in the Pacific Northwest somewhere, there was a case that individuals were trying to facilitate a robbery, and they wanted to bring down the power grid to essentially enhance their ability to conduct a robbery. So there was a financial motive in that instance. And we've also had just straight out vandalism. So there's a bunch of different motivations, but what they have in common is a targeting of the electric grid, of the substations. And so we are working more and more closely, not just with DHS, but Department of Energy and other regulatory partners to try to give them better information so that they can figure out how to better harden their infrastructure.
Thank you, Senator Butler. Senator Cotton.